guys, this is WUNAX. Today I brought Arm Dragon Thunder Rulers to box run at locals. Ended up going 4-1, only lost once to Memento. I got drolled twice, and this deck is horrible into droll specifically. The only card probably worse is Lancia, but even then you can kind of play through Lancia. Droll, if your hand is not good into droll, you just get smoked, and yeah, that's what happened to me. So, not much you can do about that. The deck did perform well besides that. I went 4-1 obviously, and I really enjoyed playing the deck. It's one of my favorites. It was the first deck I brought to locals was Arm Dragon back in like 2005 with 3 of the structure decks basically, and then we just had like the bad Arm Dragons and like Master and stuff. So obviously it's a lot different now. We don't actually play any of those cards anymore. We're just playing the new ones, but I just really like Arm Dragon. And then Dragon Rulers were the first deck I took to YCS. Ended up day 2 with that, and yeah, this deck is a lot of fun, and you basically can play like full power Dragon Rulers now with really no differences, other than like you could play better cards now in the extra deck to abuse. So yeah, deck's really good. I don't think it'll be good next format because Lancia will be in the meta, and that card does just dunk on this deck really hard, but overall it's a lot of fun, so let's get into it. First off, we're playing Triple Pylon Dragons. This is by far the best one of the deck. Basically, you send a dragon, a level 7 or higher dragon or a wind dragon from your hand to the graveyard, and then special summon this. Well, this card's on the field, you can send 1 Arm Dragon card from your deck to the graveyard. It boosts the attack, and then you also will trigger their effects. So then we play 3 Arm Dragon level 7s. This searches for an Arm Dragon. The purpose of this basically is that the purpose of the Arm Dragons in this deck are that when they get sent to the graveyard for the cost of a dragon effect, which is this, or your baby dragons, or even like Tempest in hand, they get a trigger effect to search for another card. So it lets you fill up your graveyard and refill your hand with cards for your babies really quickly. So it's really nice. They're also obviously level 7, so they synergize pretty well with the whole deck idea. 2 level 5s. This one is slightly worse than this. You do need this to climb into these, but when you're doing the actual Arm Dragon combos, but it's usually not too big of a deal, specifically because you really only need 1 for your original combo, and then you have 1 to climb with later. You only play 2 because it's arbitrarily worse than this because it has 1 less target than this, and you don't really play that many targets for this in the deck. Because you're not really playing that many wind dragons. It grabs Tempest specifically, which is what you want it for, or it grabs Pile and like if you need it. But this is generally better because this will also grab your other Arm Dragon cards. Specifically, you want these. So this card's really nice. When it's sent to the graveyard, it lets you draw a card. The effect that all these have is that you can send a card from your hand, a monster from your hand to the graveyard to rank up into the next one. So the idea is, if you didn't draw very well, if you don't have like good starters, you go effect, summon this, which is the Pile Arm, so it just summons a level. So you're able to climb into Pile Armed with the engine here really easily. And then the last card in the actual Arm Dragon engine is 1 Arm Dragon Flash. The point of this is that it just summons level 3, so it's just a searchable extender. It also can functionally work as a starter if you didn't draw like a lot of like good cards to do it. Like if you drew a lot of Dragon Rulers, sometimes just summoning these and climbing is really nice because it just lets you get the Pile Arm, which is level 7 on board, and also gets an advantage from dumping cards. So yeah, that's the Arm Dragon portion. Let's go into the Dragon Ruler portion. 2 Tidal, 2 Stream, 2 Redox, 2 Reactin, 2 Blaster, 2 Burner, 2 Tempest, and 2 Lightning. Ignore the rarities, I'm waiting for the ones that come in the mail. I just really like this deck, like I said. And yeah, that's pretty standard, just 2/2/2, because you want to be able to banish and search for these ones. These have real targets in the deck. This does post side. This doesn't at all because water dragons aren't very good. So yeah, but whatever, right? So basically you're using these as like extensions. The kind of gimmick behind the deck here is that you're able to go like Tempest, pitch itself, plus like an Arm Dragon card to special summon, Lightning pitch itself just with an Arm Dragon, special summon an Dragon Ruler from the deck, and then we trigger 7 to search a card. So the gimmick here is that you're just trying to generate a bunch of free bodies and a bunch of free dragons in the graveyard by using the Arm Dragon cards. After that, I guess we can just do other like non-engine pieces. 2 Sacred Sword of 7 stars. These are when you can activate this, banish a Dragon Ruler, draw 2 cards, and then get a search off the Dragon Ruler, which is really huge. Since you only have 2, a lot of times you're not going to be breaking on multiple names, so you're only going to really get to 1 off of the baby. So it's usually not a big deal to banish one, so you can search for another card almost all the time. 1 Ravine, we search this. This is part of our other combos. And then the other generic dragons that we play for searching purposes, we play 1 Mag. This is to summon off seals. I didn't really think there was any main deckable targets to summon off seals. Like you could play 1 of them, which is a Morphic Sloth, which is searchable by the Earth one, but it's really lackluster, honestly, in my opinion. I think it's better, like especially going second, you really don't want it. so I didn't want to play any at all. We play one Armored Ram. This is searchable by the level 5, which is nice, but it's not super amazing. It's a nice board breaker. It's a Dragon Extender, but it is generally worse than the Rulers because it's not level 7, and being level 7 is useful for a lot of parts of this deck. After that, we play one Genroku. This is searchable off Banishing Blaster. It's a free special summon, so there's a lot of times where level 3 tuner is really nice if you play level 7s, and 10 Scarecrows are all pretty strong. Finally, one Diosarme. This is searchable off Ravine. When this starts normal summon, it summons back a dragon from the graveyard, and being a Dragoonity tuner is relevant because one of the level 10 Dragoonity Synchros requires Dragoonity tuner, and it's really nice in this deck specifically. So a lot of the times you just search this off Ravine, normal summon, bring back, do everything, and then Ravine's just like generically good in the deck, right? So it even makes more sense to play it in there. If you don't need a normal summon, then you go that route. After that, we have our non-engine, 3 Ash, 3 Imperm, 1 Talents. It's really hard to fit non-engine in this deck, at least in the main deck. You don't have too much space. You have a lot of cards you want in going first to like kind of set up your board. And honestly, the deck overall didn't feel bad going second. I won a fair amount of games just going second with this deck. So I feel like this is all I really wanted for it. 7 cards. It's not ideal. I think I would like to play like 10 at least, but I felt fine with these cards. These were specifically like the most generic, useful cards in the deck. Normal summoning Ash as a tuner actually came up more than it probably reasonably should have, but that's fine. But it's nice. So for the extra deck, we're playing 1 Dissipator, 1 Obrid Hair, 1 Chaining. These are like the best level 10 Synchros. Obviously Chaos Angel would be there, but we're not playing Lights and Darks. So the idea here is that this can summon, this is just a negate you can make. It can sometimes summon back. A lot of the times I would summon back Seals with it to go to other play, for link plays, because there's just not that many targets for this card specifically in the deck, but it does still nice to have a searchable, like have a negate. If your opponent's banishing cards like a lot of decks do right now, it's a monster negate that you can set up early. We have, it's a generic, it's a monster negate you set up early, and it also can like cycle into other stuff, and it's a big body. We played 1 Dragoon Knight Obrid Air. The idea behind this is that this is a monster negate by banishing a Dragoonity from your graveyard. So what you do with this is you go Diosarme, summon this because it requires no other setup besides Diosarme, and you can search that with Remus, so you get 2 monster negates off of it at minimum normally. Sometimes you're able to banish Gram for it, and then finally 1 Chaining. This card's insane for going second. I think most of the time going second, I would try to put this on the board, and then I would banish for my rulers. Then they have to answer this, which is crazy. Or you can also chain block if you banish a ruler to summon this, so really strong card. Those are our 10s. I've made these most games. This didn't come up as much just because like you have to have Diosarme for it. But normal summon Ash into Dissipator or Chaining actually came up a couple times, which is really goofy. From that, we'll go to our link. So we played Striker Dragon. We played these cards, which were bad. I only made this once, but it just didn't matter. Would not play. I probably will end up cutting one of these. We played 1 Seals. There should have been a 2 of. I'll show the card I would have 100% cut for it now that I changed my list up, because I made this like last night and I didn't have time to test everything in theory, all of it beforehand. I kind of already knew what I wanted to play, but there's that. We played 1 Little Knight. Made this fair amount. It's really strong in this deck, especially if you put a Dragon Ruler on the board. There's a couple times where I like Seals, bounced, and then I made Little Knight banish their card, and then I Little Knight banished my Dragon Ruler to trigger my Dragon Ruler to search a card, and then I would banish one of their cards, and then I was okay with Little Knight dying at that point because I knew on the follow-up I was probably just going to win if I had a baby in my hand too. 1 IP Masquerena, obviously it's just generic good. I honestly mostly use it to make Draco Sack tokens into Promethean Princess. 1 Romulus, this card comes up all the time. This is how you search Ravine. It does a lot of stuff. It's just a generically nice card. 1 Promethean Princess. We're basically using this to combo into Whale. Whale is really strong in this deck specifically because you can turn Draco Sack into a free interrupt, which is 2 level 7. So if you already have Seals on the board, a lot of the times I would just go for this line because it's fairly safe and it's a pretty strong way to end the game. A lot of the times you just go like here, this, and you're supposed to have a target, but these obviously don't work with the Draco Sack tokens, which is mostly when I was making it. So I gotta figure out if there's a better one. There probably is, and I can probably cut one of those, but they're both fine overall. And yeah, I think I made all of these, well, I didn't make, I made these like, not really, they were just for link climb, but I made all of these pretty much. Every one of these came up here, all of these came up here. I made both of these cards were dead, I probably would cut them for something else. But for other actions, we play Draco Sack. Obviously, we're playing Dragon Rulers, we're gonna play Draco Sack, right? It just is what it is. And we played 1 Volt for Ignis. This is just a quick play pop on a rank 7. If you want to play around Nib, sometimes this is the correct card to make. Sometimes either you talents the other hand, or you just go, okay, the only card I lose to is Nib, and they have 1 card left in hand. We don't want to let them get a top deck, so we'll just make Volt for Ignis, swing, and then pass turn, and then when they normal summon, if this has dragons as a material, it's quick effect pop. So really nice there. Like I said, this will definitely be cut for another seals. I played this with like the theory that I was going to play Armed Dragon White level 10. That card's terrible, would not recommend. It's just awkward to set up most of the time because it requires very specific levels of Armed Dragons. And then it's just like a brick 90% of the time you draw it because you need to be like full playing before it's good. And then these I never made. In theory, they're good. They just really didn't come up for me very much. And I need another fire generic fire to go into. And there might be some other cards I have to look at, but yeah, that's just kind of my opinion on those. Deck felt fine for at least what I was. Definitely, these should have been something else. I think a second seals came up for me once. But it is what it is. Going into the side deck. So we have, basically I feel like these hand traps are fine. I didn't play the chummies, I don't want to buy them. They're too expensive right now, I don't really care that much. Game's just like fun right now, that's it. We're playing our spare hand traps, so 3 nib, 3 droll, these felt fine. Definitely would not cut these for anything other than maybe the charmies. In the matchups you want these in, they're insane. In the matchups you don't want them in, you don't put them in, which is why I put them in the side, because this deck wants to play a lot of engine. After that, we played our 1 Amorphage Goliath. This is a summon off of Seals. I felt like this was probably the best card. This should be Sloth, technically, Amorphage Sloth, because they're both 0/0 after you Seals. But the gimmick here is that you make a Seals, they go battle phase, you bounce their card, and then you make Goliath, and you go, okay, well now you can't play the game, right? That's like the gimmick behind it. It was okay. I think I only started one time going first. I only started post-game 1 going first once or twice. And one of the times I got called by it on my Seals, so it didn't even matter. But yeah, there is like a theory where you can banish Redox to search Sloth and normal summon Sloth at the end of your combo, which is pretty strong. 2 Lightning Storms, 2 Twin Fisters. These probably weren't correct. Actually, I know these weren't correct. These should have been something else. They were okay when I played them, honestly. I didn't really hate them at all, but these probably should have been a way to burn in time and just like Feather Duster. It is what it is. I felt okay with them, but they weren't amazing. I didn't want to play Cyclone because I was worried about like weird cards like Imperial Iron Wall. I know like some stun decks they're playing. I didn't want to lose to that. I probably shouldn't have cared, but yeah, it is what it is. You either play Cyclone or you just play Feather Duster and play another card. This deck's pretty good into backrow decks because you have just like this infinite grind game situation where you just get to summon big beaters every turn, and usually they have a problem with that. Finally, our Floodgates, 3 Power Sink Stone and a Steel Drain. This deck is incredible under these cards, just like it was back in 2013. You're just summoning big dragons and hitting them with them. So, what else? What more do you want, right? So yeah, that was the deck. 42 in the main. I wasn't gonna play Sacred Sword originally, but I tested with it, and the card was actually just incredible. I think every game I resolved Sacred Sword plus a ruler, I won the game on the spot because like, what do you do, right? I go into 1 extra card in hand, I search the card I want, whether it be an extender or something, and then I get to do 2 more cards from that. Really strong. I ended up playing 42 because I decided to play them last second, and I really feel like everything here is almost necessary. You could maybe argue to not play Talents and not play Argentinity Armogram, but they do have their worth, especially going second. Armogram is really strong going second. It's a big body, and then it also forces an interrupt because it targets a monster who gets its effect. So it's able to like force out weird cards and also just like stop like Floodgates and stuff, or weird like just monsters that would be problematic in general. So you just go like summon this, negate their card, they're forced to interact there. And it also eats cards, when it swings over stuff, it's able to equip them, so trying to stop your opponent from getting certain cards on the board. And then the 1 Talents, it's just a nice card, I felt like it was fine to play. Overall, like I said, the gimmick of the deck here is pretty simple. You're trying to use the babies to trigger the armed dragons to get the dragon on the board and go plus while you do it. And yeah, it works nicely. It's very consistent. Obviously, like I said, Droll is a problem because like the whole gimmick is cooked by Droll. But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff in here. The synergies are interesting with the armed dragons and the dragon rulers, and then you get to play some really like surprisingly like good cards that might not be normally be played. Like Genroku and Dragoon Duisarme don't feel like they should be nearly as good as like they are. Just having it like in dragon rulers, a lot of the times what would happen is like turn 2, I would just like set up my like basic like Seals plus like Promethean board, or like Seals plus like Mask or something along those lines, and I would just like end on like a mid board. But then what would happen is we go into turn 2, and my graveyard would just be loaded with cards. I would have like 2 rulers in the graveyard, and then like dragons, and then I would be able to like get another ruler off the mat usually, and then I was able to go, okay, well now I'm gonna get all my trigger effects from banishing my dragon rulers, and then get my searches off these so I can extend further. And then like Duisarme plus Genroku are crazy because you have to like search Genroku or search Duisarme, and usually by banishing one of these, and then on the follow-up you're able to go like this, go into the chaining, trigger more effects when you banish, and then kind of pressure the board with Promethean Princess and all those plays. And yeah, I really liked the deck, felt really strong. I felt like I had to work for a lot of my wins. And obviously it helps that people don't know what my cards really do. They know Dragon Rulers, but a lot of the people nowadays just don't know like the base effects. And people absolutely don't know what Thunder Dragons do. I would sit down with people and they'd go, all right, well, they would like go for like normal plays, and I'd be like, okay, well, you guys, start a phase, special summon Pile Arms, send you an Armed Dragon level 7. And they'd go, what? Yeah, this is not what I was prepared for, but yeah, deck felt really cool. Like I said, if you want something fun to play for a little bit, even post-Lancia ban is probably fine, because like you don't really need to banish turn 1. It's just like to get the extra goodies out for free. Honestly, ending on a Seals plus Promethean and then having like a million cards that follow up is surprisingly, or not surprisingly, really strong. But yeah, so that's it for now. I think that's all I got for you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later. Bye.